Hello, it is Chair Boothby, and I wanted to take just a brief few moments to talk about self-love, self-compassion, all things important about just honing in on enjoying our existence as people. A while back, I had a conversation with someone I really admire. We just have a really nice time mentally sparring and discussing philosophy and psychology. And one of the things that we talked about is just how important mental flexibility is. And really, a great big question is, without mental flexibility, can we practice self-compassion? Now, we talk about self-love, self-compassion, self-esteem, all these things so much these days. And then again, people overanalyze them, microanalyze, macroanalyze, and we can really dissect into the problems of what does this actually do? Are we watering down these terms? But self-compassion and self-love are really important. We are loved beings. We are created with purpose and meaning, and we are always included. We always belong in the same heart of love, which is something that's hard for us to appreciate or accept many times. That's why there's a whole field of psychology. There's a whole science of understanding love and relationships and how our brain and emotions and all these parts work. But self-compassion, there's this fear of actually trusting that I really am deep down lovable. This fits in with attachment, the science of love, as Sue Johnson would say, and all of the emotionally focused work that so many of us psychologists and clinicians admire and work with, because deep down there's this vulnerable space where we really worry that actually our aloneness is more powerful or more true than our lovability. So self-compassion and mental flexibility. Mental flexibility is, we used to use this term critical thinking, this ability to think about thinking. There's a real power in thinking about feeling, feeling about thinking, feeling about feeling. Virginia Satir had this great model, the iceberg. I've talked about it on the blog before. I really appreciate Virginia Satir. We have some amazing Canadian theorists over the years, and Virginia just happens to be one of them. She's got some beautiful poetry. She's really spectacular about systems, how families work. And one of the things that's brilliant that Virginia spoke about back in the 70s was feelings and how we have feelings about our feelings. Now, from an emotionally focused point of view, we talk about our primary or more obvious or outward feelings, what people see, and then our more vulnerable feelings or the real core stuff. I said that wrong. So our secondary feelings, what people see, like on the surface, and then our primary, more vulnerable stuff, the stuff that's closer to our fears or unmet needs, our attachment yearnings. But the mental flexibility again. So how does this all play in? I mean, just what I'm speaking about right now, being curious, reading, knowing what good, educated, intelligent, genius people, Sue Johnson is a genius, what these people are thinking about feeling, what they're feeling about thinking, what they're thinking about thinking, so that hopefully I can start to build in some tools to do that for myself. February is kind of noticed as a love month. So here we are, and people are thinking about relationships. Maybe you're in a marriage, maybe you're not, maybe you don't want to be, maybe you long to be, and it's hard to figure out how to do that. Maybe you have other really key core relationships that you're trying to really make peace with, that's enough. And this is what I want. And societal norms about whatever expectations I think people have for me. What do I want for me? And how do I practice honing in on my own identity and just really enjoying embodying self-love? So self-compassion, to me, there's this beautiful sense in the mental flexibility of learning how to more embody self-love, self-compassion, learning how to embody more of my ideals, my morals, and my longings, my intentionality. Intentionality is hard to embody. It's a powerful shift. But really, the mental flexibility is about knitting into us some subconscious change. Now, goal setting, measurable, manageable, all these things I talk about are important, but they're conscious, their behavioral change, and mental flexibility is a tool to help knit into us some of that subconscious shift about the value of self-compassion, about the value of self-love, and really knowing, like, if I can trust that sorry, something just fell. If I can trust that I am worthy of loving myself, then I can start to really hone in on understanding what relationships are fueling and helping me to trust that I'm loved by others. And I can love others better. And ultimately, it's a spiritual shift to trust that I am really in the heart of love, which is a hard, hard mental shift. That's a hard emotional and attachment shift. It's a spiritual transformation to really believe that there's nothing we can do to make us unlovable. We're just loved, and that's really hard. The agape love thing, other focus, self-giving love thing, that's hard. So it's a big philosophical shift. It's important. And again, so often I will say, take a meeting with yourself. So if you're sitting here, you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I don't know what I think about this stuff, this thinking about thinking, this thinking about feeling, this feeling about thinking, this feeling about feeling, all these things. What do I think about self-compassion? What do I think about mental flexibility? Do I trust that I am lovable? Do I want to trust that others are lovable? And then what does this mean in a spiritual shift? That I belong. There's nothing I can do to not belong. So I will say, take a meeting with yourself. Go for a coffee. Think about yourself. Loving yourself is a really great tool to have spiritual shift. It's a great tool to have relational shift. The more I love myself, the more I trust my good intentionality, the more I can practice good intentionality with others, the better quality of relationships I have. And I like having a good relationship with myself as well. I get to see what relationships are serving me and what relationships are spilling tea. Like sometimes the more we love ourselves and the more we take some time to really hone in on our own value, the more we can see, like, what, maybe this person thinks they like me, but they actually really don't. Or maybe I just really don't like myself in this relationship. It's not helping me. And that whole piece of knowing when and where to have boundaries with people is really hard, but it fits. And it's not necessarily something that we front load. It's hard to have boundaries or to trust boundaries to do it well when we don't really know how to trust mental flexibility, that critical thinking thing, and then also to root ourselves in more self-compassion and self-love. So it's in, it's out, it's all around us. All these things can really transform and help us to just like being in the skin that we're in. So I hope you're having an amazing day. Again, if you are listening to this, you've hung in there this long, you have a few minutes, turn it off, just sit and think. Be present with yourself. You're valuable. And it's nice to build a friendship with our own self. Peace and love. And I look forward to sharing more of these challenges with you. Take care.